Personal brand is crucial for everything that we have in our lives, whether it's your relationship, your work, or especially your business. But it takes time. And as someone who lived in Ukraine and then moved in the UK a few years ago, I never realized how long it takes to build that professional or personal brand from scratch. But hey, we live in the world of AI revolution. So today, after 6, I want to understand, is it faster or possible to build your personal brand from scratch with AI? Next to me is Minisha Goel, who not only because of her personal brand started her company, which is MindShift AI, but also who is an active influencer, creator, and speaker on AI herself, who went through this same question. So today, let's dive deep into building your personal and professional brand with AI. Can you explain us what do you do today? What is your job?
I am the founder of MindShift AI, which is an AI training practice that helps companies upskill their employees on all things generative AI. We do workshops, we do AI hackathons, we do AI training programs. And the narrative and the main mission for MindShift AI is to empower non-technical people, non-technical professionals, to start feeling empowered and start feeling confidence applying these tools to their real work, to their real jobs. So that is my 9 to 5, I would say. And my 5 to 9 is that I'm an AI educator and content creator as well.
That sounds like a lot of AI. AI hasn't been around for so long.
Yeah.
Do you have a technical background, or how did you end up doing it?
I come from a completely non-technical background. You know, I barely even knew what AI was, say 4 years ago. But I left consulting and I basically joined this AI startup. And it was a Series A startup. And I joined as their operations lead, and then I was the head of operations. And that particular startup, I joined it whilst it was going through acquisition.
Oh.
So I was responsible for setting up processes, systems, and I was really loving it, because I had a lot more autonomy. I was just loving that, I had more control over my work versus what I had in consulting. But just as I was getting settled, I was made redundant. Part of like a company getting acquired by another company, restructuring happens. And so unfortunately I was let go. But luckily for me, I was let go at a time where ChatGPT was released.
So was it 2022?
Yeah.
22, yeah.
2022. And, that's where my real interaction with generative AI started. Prior to that, I had had no experience.
You had already your professional personal brand built around consultancy?
No, I had no personal brand. I had no network. I realized that, I was so comfortable in my 9 to 5 job with the teams that I saw every day that I never even bothered. I never bothered going to outside events. I never bothered, building a brand on LinkedIn or, sharing my thoughts and, whatever you want to call a personal brand. I wasn't doing any of it. And that's when I realized that, this is really important.
So what would you call a personal brand in this case?
What do you want the world to recognize you for? Really? Like how, what message do you want to share with the world? Who do you want to be known as?
From what you just said, personal brand is bigger than your job.
Yeah.
Or bigger than your even career, because you can shift career during your lifetime.
Your personal brand, your identity don't have to be linked to your job. And the best advice, and I was thinking about this the other day, and the best advice I think right now, especially in this turbulent time that we live in with, AI job replacement and, people not being able to actually get jobs these days, is if you are in a 9 to 5 job, I really, really recommend building a personal brand and building a network. And I think that they kind of go hand in hand, right, together. Yeah. And I think that people often hear those two words and get immediately put off because we associate personal brand as, I have to post things with my face on it on, social media, and they see, and they perceive network as networking, and going to these events and, having a certain ego. And it doesn't have to be that at all. And so I really recommend, like, anyone who's listening who is in a 9-to-5 job, like, don't rely on that. Build a personal brand around yourself, so that it can live on beyond that one job title.
Can you advise for someone who doesn't really want to record videos, is it possible to still build your personal brand online?
I think so. I think, you can. Okay, so when it comes to building your personal brand, first of all, you don't have to just build a personal brand online in the sense of like social media, right? I think like an important thing to remember is that we still live in real life, right? We still need to interact with other human beings, and the online world is just, the online world. And so I think it's really important to actually go out there, meet people, network, and actually, so that people recognize you and they actually get to meet the real you. And I think that's first and foremost really important. I think there's other ways to show up online and build a personal brand, right? For example, the LinkedIn post is one, sharing thought leadership. It doesn't matter if you're in a job. I think it's really important to show up online, share your opinions. Most times you do have something valuable to say, and it will resonate with someone. So I know a lot of people hesitate because like, who's gonna care? I promise you somebody does care, and it will resonate. So LinkedIn post is a great way. If you want to show up on like social media, I think there's no harm in kind of doing videos which are like not showing your face. I know this one account, I was kept note of it the other day. It's like a Copilot account, right? This guy, he does tutorials on Copilot, and they're such a hit. There's literally no person involved. It's just a screen share of like how to use Microsoft Copilot. And, the guy's grown to like 40,000 plus followers, and his videos do really, really well. And that's just another great way and another great example of how you can show up online and share what you know.
So you shared that you were in a consultancy business, and then you joined the startup, and then you've been made redundant. And that was like a shift when you suddenly realized, all right, I need to get back to building my personal brand, right?
Yeah.
What was the first thing that you did at the time?
Yeah. So there's a few things that I started doing. Number one is I had to find a mission that was greater than myself, right? Because I had to figure out what my why was, right? There's no point doing anything unless you know what your why is.
Yeah.
So like with a personal brand, like what are you passionate about? What do you want to share with the world? What is your advice? Or, I don't know, like, or even if it's just to make money, right?
What was it for you?
For me, my mission was, I want more people to start using AI, and I want people to recognize me as the person that they can trust and get knowledge from as another non-technical professional.
Back then, it was, you said 2022, so OpenAI just launched ChatGPT, meaning you just got yourself into AI, and you were already convinced that more people need to be doing it, right?
Already convinced. I was very lucky because at the time I had a lot of free time, obviously, so I was using these AI tools, and I don't know what it was just immediately drawn to this technology. And it had this click moment where I was thinking as a consultant, I was thinking as an ops person, I was thinking, well, marketing people can use it like this, sales people can use it like this, ops people can use it like this. And obviously there was no such thing as like AI training or an AI trainer at that point. And so when I was using it, and though I had that strong connection to it, I didn't know what my path would look like. But, what I did recognize is that actually I could be very early on for something big. And so I thought, fuck it, to be honest with you, I have nothing to lose. I can still apply for jobs whilst I'm learning about this technology. And I made that my why, basically, is that, I don't come from a technical background, but maybe that can be my superpower.
Yeah.
Because now I can relate to people who are at my level and who don't understand this technology.
So you tried it yourself, you realized that you enjoy it and more people can benefit from this technology, and you made that as your why or your mission to bring more people to tech and more people to AI.
That's right. Yeah.
That was the beginning. So that's the first step then, right? On how to establish a personal brand is to understand your mission. What was the second step for you?
Yeah. So once you know the mission, you got to figure out, okay, if I want to help whoever you're trying to help, right? Whoever you're trying to reach, what are the best channels to do that? And, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to jump on social media and do, obviously show your face, but this is just the path that I took. For me, it was, first of all, I was at events every chance that I could take. I was going to every single event, okay, in London about ChatGPT, about about anything really AI related, number one. Number two, I was networking with people on LinkedIn like it was going out of fashion. It was, it was quite relentless. Like I was adding people, I was asking them for one-on-ones, if I can learn from them, if they could mentor me. I just kept trying to meet people and learn from them about what they're doing, what they think about AI.
Do a lot of people agree? Like when you message them?
Yeah, surprisingly.
Really?
Yeah, quite a lot. But a lot of no's as well. And also another thing is that I had a lot of audacity. I was adding like really senior people on LinkedIn. And I was just like, hey, I would love to learn how you're implementing AI. Or hey, I would love to learn what your thoughts are on this. Or hey, I would love to get like a 30-minute advice or whatever. And, for some people, they're really receptive to that and they will really help you. But for some people, it doesn't. And I think you just have to kind of accept that might happen and be okay with it from the beginning.
Yeah.
So I was messaging people on LinkedIn. I was going to events. I was posting on LinkedIn. Now, I found it extremely difficult to start posting on LinkedIn.
Yeah, it's so true.
It was like I had to climb over the highest cringe mountain. It was like climbing Mount Everest. It was really difficult for me because I came from such I knew who my LinkedIn network were. And it was a bunch of quite like conservative consultants that I used to work with. And so I was always embarrassed of like, what are my previous colleagues going to think about me? What they're going to think, who the hell is she to talk about AI? Or they're going to think, what is she doing now with her life? And then I had this moment, right, of realization, again, this fuck it moment, where I was like, Minisha, nobody is going to sleep thinking, oh, why did Minisha post this today? Nobody cares. Like everybody is their own, is the hero of their own story, of their own life. Like nobody's actually thinking about you much.
What did you post it about back then?
Oh, I would be posting. Okay, so in terms of my posting strategy, this has been my strategy across all socials, is just to give value, right? Mine isn't like a news update or anything like that. It's like, here's how to use this tool. So it was tutorials or guides or free things that I found online that I think could be worth sharing with other people. Anything really. Oh, you don't come from a technical background.
And how do you respond to that?
I think the thing is that the whole thing with AI right now, and it always has been, and it's the reason why generative AI has been able to have such an explosion, is because it allows access to non-technical people. That's the reason why it's blown up. Yeah. So, I think with that in mind, I felt totally safe and okay because this technology was built for someone like me. It wasn't built for coders who know, obviously it is, but, a lot of these companies their main, customer is anybody and everybody. And so that includes people like me. And then I think the whole thing was just like, I want to relate to people's pains and problems that they have at work and try to figure out how I can connect the dots using AI. Yeah.
So back then, you already knew your mission. You were posting your own learnings, but you were already unemployed. So I assume you don't have that much time, right? How did you know that it worked? Like, how did you know it is time to move forward?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And to be honest with you, I don't think that you ever know that it's the right time. And I
Yeah.
think there's never a moment where you're like, yeah, this is meant to be my life now. It's all a trial and error. And I think that at a certain point, you need to give it enough of a go. You need to give it enough of a chance. And that usually looks like a period of 6 months to a year, right? Of really being committed to something. And sometimes even longer than that. I think that's honestly the reality
Yeah,
as well
yeah.
of being a founder is, yeah, you see a lot of people rags to riches in 6 months, right? But most of the time, it is a bit more of a, you have to have a bit more endurance, let's say.
What would be something you recommend for anyone watching this to
Yeah.
use AI for in their personal brand?
Okay, you got to start using Claude. You
Right.
have to start using Claude, and you have to start using Claude skills. I think if you can figure out and learn how to build Claude skills around the things that you do repeatedly, for example, like writing scripts, writing LinkedIn posts, and you can, figure out a way for it to sound like you, it captures your tone, the language that you use, the mission that you're on. It's like, it's like you could always rely on using that skill within Claude to help you with your work essentially every time, and rather than having to prompt it every single time.
Do you feel like your personal brand helped you in Mindshift AI?
That's a really good question because, do you know, I was very nervous about doing social media whilst also trying to build a serious training business. And
Yeah.
I always worried, like, gosh, I hope my clients don't find my content. It's going to be embarrassing. They're going to think, what the hell is she doing on LinkedIn? No, sorry, on Instagram or TikTok. And it took me a while to like rewire my brain. But it has actually got me business, first of all.
Your personal brand.
Yeah, my
got you
personal brand
business.
has got me business, first
Yeah.
of all. And also, I think that it actually adds a lot of trust for, my clients who do eventually find my page, because I'm showing up online, I'm, in the same way, I'm being my authentic self. And, it's just another way for me to share that I'm passionate about the same thing that I'm trying to teach them. So I
Yeah.
think it worked out, and I kind of got over my own internal fears about what would they think.
Are there any workflows or anything you automated in your business with AI?
Yeah, so I've automated a lot in my business, especially using Claude recently. So I have a lot of kind of small, quirky tools, I guess, hacks that I use. So for example, with Claude, something that I just set up recently after watching a video on it was, setting up essentially this automation where every day in the morning, I get Claude to look through my calendar, to look through my emails that came in overnight, to look at my project plan, not my project plan, my to-do list, and give me a download of what my priorities for today should be or for the week should be. And then at the same time, it can also update those systems as well. So if I say, hey, draft that email back to that person, or hey, create some space in my diary today. So that feels like a little bit of a VA situation, like that, which is really, really cool. If anybody needs something like that, I highly recommend it. The second thing that I've done is I have a whole system in place now for researching workshop topics, creating workshop design templates, which I use to help build out and flesh out my workshop ideas, and essentially creating all the collateral and all the resources that I need to support that workshop. So for example, I don't create my own slides. It's something that I was like, I spend too much time on this. I haven't found a good AI yet to replace slide design. So I have a designer that does that. But obviously for each slide, I need to give him a bit of a direction for how to present this slide. And so I use AI again to understand the sentiment, the real, key themes behind the points that I'm trying to make, and figure out the best way to instruct the designer to make that slide.
So you mentioned to me that you ended up in the creative programs of Anthropic, OpenAI, and Coursera, and I think Meta or a couple more. How does that happen? Tell us.
It's insane. I don't even know myself. It's insane. I have to pinch myself, because when I started content creation, it was like a year and a half ago now. I never thought in my wildest dreams that I would have companies like these top 10 companies asking me to be on their content creator program. And I feel extremely lucky. And, to be honest with you, it's not like content creation isn't my full-time job, right?
Yeah.
I do it because it's another way for me to reach people and to stay on my mission. And so I think what's landed is that value part, right? It's not about me, it's about you. How can I help you? And I think that maybe some of these companies, they can see that whenever I'm talking about their products, it's all about how to use the products, how to start applying it. And my videos tend to do quite well when it comes to like tutorials and things like that, which is really lucky. But honestly, I think it's just consistency. It's showing up in an authentic way, and it's showing and adding real value for people. And so, yeah, these things just kind of happened. But yeah, I mean, I'm not, by the way, also just to keep in mind for anyone who's like thinking to also start content creation, I don't even have like a big following. I have quite a relatively small following compared to the world of
What is a
content
small
creators.
following?
I mean, I have like 50,000 followers on TikTok. I have a couple of hundred followers on Instagram. And so I think you don't even have to be, you don't have to like, be this big creator to get these partnerships and to be recognized by companies. I started getting brand deals and all of that come in at the point, very early on in my content creation.
How many
days.
followers do you remember you had back then?
I think I must have had like nearly 10,000, maybe about 5,000.
So how those companies like Anthropic, OpenAI, that it showed up in your messages?
Oh, I get emails every single day.
Really?
I get emails every single day from obviously lots of like smaller AI companies who have like a product and they're like, hey, can you do a video on our product? And I say no, obviously, to about 99% of them, because I think with content creation is that you can't say yes to everything, first of all, because it becomes inauthentic.
Yeah.
And you can only go so far when it comes to like sponsorships, brand deals and things like that until your content becomes a bit ick, when it comes to like you seeing somebody's
a bit silly,
a paid promotion all the time. And so I only work with brands that I feel like, I actually use and feel aligned to me. Yeah.
Minisha, do you think there is a way to grow your audience or your followers base with AI? I'm not saying about posts, but just doing some stuff with AI so your followers will grow.
Yeah, I think that I'm not sure about AI in particular, but I think there's tools that you can use now to actually grow your followers. But I guess when it comes to growing your followers, what does that actually mean, right? That means getting people to follow you. It's getting people to comment. It's getting people to like. It's getting people to save. So those are the engagement metrics that you have to look at. And I think the biggest, driver for both platforms, Instagram and TikTok right now, are comments, are saves. And so something that people are using right now is something called ManyChat that helps people comment on your videos and then send them stuff, and so that they engage more. So everything's about driving engagement. So if you're trying to grow your audience, think about how you can engage your audience. Can you get them to save that post? Can you get them to comment down below? Can you get them to follow you? And you know what my best tip is? My best tip is ask them. And you know how many times, and I've validated this with other content creators as well. When you do a video and you literally start off with, hey, this is how you use Claude to help you analyze spreadsheets. But first, make sure you follow me and make sure you save this video for later. That actually works. And you will see like an increase in the number of people that engage with your post just from you asking them.
What is the first thing you would advise someone to do with their personal brand?
Yeah. Okay. So the first thing is figure out your why, right? Why do I want to show up online, right? What is my message, or what am I trying to achieve? That will anchor everything else. Once you figure out your why, you're going to find other creators or people that you admire that are showing up online. Understand how they're showing up online, right? What has it led them to? And, you want to basically base a strategy off of what's already worked well. Okay. Just like how companies do. This is how companies play it, right? how have our competitors done it? Same thing. So understand and build a strategy around what's already worked well. Is it a couple of posts a week on LinkedIn? Is it a couple of posts on social media? The third thing is that you want to broaden, be across as many channels as you can.
Thank you so much, Minisha. It was such a pleasure to have you today after 6. Thank you so much for sharing all the tips. I hope you folks got some more inspiration, and I hope that after this talk you will go and check out Mindshift AI, Minisha's profile and LinkedIn. But the main thing, you will go there and start experimenting, or maybe just write your very first LinkedIn post about you. So let me know in the comments what you think about this one. Please, if you have any questions to Minisha, drop them in the comments. Yeah, and it was a pleasure having you today. And I'll see you in the next one, the day after 6.